He killed more women than any serial killer in US history and walked free for nearly 20 years. The terrifying part? He gave the police his DNA 14 years before they ever caught him. So today, True Evil Crime presents the story of Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer, how a seemingly average man became America's most notorious serial killer, and how a single drop of saliva finally brought his darkness to light. It started with one body in a river, but it wouldn't end there. What investigators found over the next few weeks would shake Washington state to its core. July 15, 1982, Wendy Lee Caulfield, just 16, was found dead in the Green River. Within days, more bodies followed. Deborah Bonner, Marcia Chapman, Opal Mills, Cynthia Hines. All were young women, most between the ages of 15 and 35. Some were runaways, some sex workers, others just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but they all shared the same fate: lives cut short, thrown away along a lonely stretch of water, the river. That became a graveyard for the forgotten. Fear gripped King County. There was no doubt now, this was the work of a serial killer. So the police launched a task force. The FBI got involved, but with all those resources, why couldn't they catch him? The Green River Task Force launched its investigation under the codename MATTNAP, a tactical acronym meant to give structure to chaos. They assembled the best they had: criminal profilers, forensic specialists, local detectives, behavioral experts. Everyone. Even convicted serial killer Ted Bundy reached out from death row, offering his insight in exchange for attention. He goes back to the bodies, Bundy warned. He's reliving it. But despite the resources, the killer always seemed one step ahead, disappearing into the night, leaving behind nothing but corpses and questions. But as time dragged on without answers, the cracks began to show. Budget cuts drained resources, leads slowed to a trickle, and the sense of urgency quietly faded, one by one. Detectives left, some reassigned, others simply exhausted, broken by dead ends and false hope. The task force, once a symbol of determination, was now a shadow of what it had been, all except for one man, Tom Jensen. He refused to let the case die. For nearly 20 years, he sifted through thousands of files, interviewed witnesses, followed cold leads. Most days he worked alone, in a back office, clinging to hope when everyone else had given up. So where was Ridgway all this time? Was he living off the grid, hiding in the woods? No. He was at work every single day for 30 years. But what kind of man reads the Bible, then strangles women just hours later? Gary Ridgway was born in 1949. His childhood was filled with trauma, bedwetting, humiliation, and a mother who crossed every line. His father hated prostitutes and made sure Gary knew it. He stabbed a boy at 6 just to see what it felt like. Later, he'd join the Navy, then settle in Seattle, working at Kenworth as a truck painter. He looked normal, went to church, got married. No one suspected he was living a double life. A loving husband by day, a killer by night. But someone did take notice. In 1987, police actually suspected him. They even brought him in for questioning and took a saliva sample. So why wasn't he arrested right then and there? Why? Because the technology didn't exist yet. DNA testing was in its infancy. So the sample sat in storage, forgotten, and Ridgway kept killing again and again and again. He got smarter, burying bodies deeper, scattering them farther apart, slowing his pace, just enough to stay hidden. Eventually, the panic faded. The public moved on, just like that. But Tom Jensen didn't. He never did. Then in 2001, almost 20 years later, A cold case initiative retested the old evidence. What they found changed everything. 4 victims still had preserved DNA. When tested, the results came back quickly. Each one matched the saliva sample taken from Gary Ridgway in 1987. After nearly 2 decades, the case finally had its answer. Police arrested Ridgway in the Kenworth parking lot where he worked. The man who had blended in for years, fooled everyone, hid in plain sight, was now revealed as the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. But even with all that, Ridgway didn't seem afraid. Why? Because he had a plan that would save his own life. He confessed all of it. 48 murders, described everything in disturbing detail, with no emotion at all. He told investigators how he picked up sex workers, offered them money, then strangled them in his truck. Afterward, he dumped their bodies in remote wooded areas as if they were nothing. He said it himself. "They didn't mean anything to me. I killed them like a machine. Like a machine." In exchange for his cooperation, he avoided the death penalty. He agreed to help locate more remains, helping families find answers after decades of silence. And while he admitted to killing 48 women, investigators believe the real number could be closer to 90. But the question still haunted everyone. Why? What makes someone become a killer like this? Experts believe it was a mix of things: childhood abuse, shame about sex, and a deep hatred toward women. He saw sex workers as less than human, just people he could use and throw away. He didn't act out of anger or impulse. He planned everything carefully and stayed calm. He lived 2 lives, one that looked normal to everyone around him, and another that left at least 71 victims, hidden in forests and along riverbanks. And so what became of those women? Did their names ever get remembered? Or did they fade into case numbers? In 2023 and 2024, the final 2 of the 49 victims Ridgway confessed to were identified: Lori Ann Razpotnik and Tammy Charlene Lyles. Every single name is now known. Memorials were built. Families finally had answers after years of silence, pain, and waiting. And the world saw how DNA, dedication, and one detective who refused to quit finally brought justice. Gary Ridgway believed no one would care about his victims, but he was wrong. They mattered, every one of them, and now they're never forgotten. If this story moved you, like and subscribe for more true crime deep dives. And remember, justice may be slow, but it never forgets.